Well, happy 10-year birthday, Fireplace. I am so excited to celebrate all that God has done over these last 10 years. Man, I am so proud of you as your pastor as I think about all that God has done in you and through you these last 10 years. You know, as I think about these last 10 years, I think about some really key mile markers that have happened along our journey. And before I talk about some things that happened over the last 10 years, I need to look back at something that happened before these 10 years, our pre-launch phase. So 11 years ago, Charity and I and our family moved here to Blacksburg. And we literally didn't know anybody in Blacksburg except for the Saladinos. And we moved here to plant a life-giving, contemporary, spirit-filled church. Now, when we moved here, Charity and I did various things in our pre-launch phase. She was working at the health department. I was working as a football coach by afternoon and a waiter by night while I planted a church during the daytime as I'd sit in my office and I'd write for grants and dream and plan. But we also began organizing a group of people called the launch team. The launch team was made up of about 15 people who would gather in my house once a week, and we would pray, and we would plan, and we would dream. We would make purchases and make decisions, all leaning towards this one great day, launch day. Now, that launch team got us to our launch Sunday, January 31st, 2016. That launch Sunday came, and it was so exciting. We came into Kipps Elementary School. We set everything up. We worked really, really hard to make that launch happen. And 101 people showed up that Sunday, 3 of which gave their life to the Lord. Man, that Sunday was so amazing because not only did those 3 people get saved, not only did 101 people show up, but the Lord was praised, His word was preached, children were ministered to, and fellowship began. And as successful as that Sunday was, you don't get to that moment without some key relationships making that possible. Whether it was Virginia Tech Chi Alpha, between both their staff and their students, we never would have gotten off the ground without them. In fact, they were a key reason why we came to Blacksburg in the first place. We also had partnerships like the Appalachian Ministry Network and the Potomac Ministry Network, 2 different ministry networks that partnered together to equip, send, and bless us as we planted here in Blacksburg. Now, I can't forget New Life Farmville, my home church that was our sending church who sent us here to Blacksburg to plant. Not only did they bless us and send people to come help us, but they also paid my salary for our first year here in Blacksburg to make sure we could get this off the ground. I also need to mention the Church Multiplication Network. There's a church planting network that not only trained us on how to plant churches effectively, but also gave us a key grant that helped us purchase some of the things that we needed to start our church with. Now, we met there in Kipps Elementary School for about 2 years, and then we ended up moving to 416 Allegheny Street, right here in our current location. Now, the process of getting into this building was wild. Like, we didn't have enough financial history to buy a building. We were only 2 years old. We didn't have the money. And we were primarily college students. So the fact that we had a permanent facility in year 2 is crazy. But what led up to that moment was a series of prophetic directions, some divine appointments, some miracles. I encourage you, the whole detailed story of that, go watch that on our YouTube channel. We documented the whole process, but it's a miracle that we ended up in this building. We met in this building for 2 years, and from day one, God was blessing our time here. We were growing, we were expanding, we were moving to 2 services. And long about fall 2019, early 2020, we were really hitting our stride. We were just about at 200 people here, 2 services. Ministries were beginning and taking off, and then COVID happened. You guys remember that time period. It made everything difficult, slowed everything down. Here in Virginia, we had all kinds of regulations about when you could meet or how you could meet. And for the first couple of weeks, we had to shut things completely down and do church at home. That's where I was sending videos to your house for you to watch with your family or roommates. And we did that for several weeks until the regulations loosened up a little bit. And we began meeting here at the church, but outdoors for Church Under the Oaks. Now, Church Under the Oaks, we had perfect weather every single Sunday, from the spring all the way through the summer, going into the fall. Now, we knew that perfect weather wasn't going to last forever. We knew fall was coming. We knew the students were coming back. So we broke up into 5 separate house churches that met all over the New River Valley. And we did house church to accommodate the students and some of the things that were going on there at the university. Now, after a while, we were able to meet back together here in person in the building. And because Blacksburg is such a transient community, over that time period, we went from about 200 or so people down to about 40 people. Now, that could be really discouraging. However, in the back of my mind, I had always wondered what a launch team of 40 would look like. You know, back in 2016 when we launched, we had a launch team of 15, and those 15, blood, sweat, and tears, gave their life to get this church off the ground, and I wore them out. And I always wondered, man, if I had 40 people on that team, would it have been more sustainable? Would it have gone easier for them? Well, I had an opportunity to find out. I looked at our congregation of 40 and said, you guys are the new launch team. And we began an initiative called Fireplace Forward. They began meeting with me on Wednesday nights, and we began having the same conversations that I had with the launch team way back in 2016. Now I was having it with these 40 people, and we were dreaming, we were planning, we were organizing, and we effectively relaunched the church. Now, about that same time period, there was another church across the mountain from us that was struggling, and we adopted them, and we brought them into the Fireplace family, and we became a multi-site church, helping them get back off the ground. And after 9 months of pumping health and volunteers and helping them, they were strong and healthy and effective, and they're doing great today. And we were able to bless them, and they have an incredible pastor over there now. Now, we went from that to a time period where we were able to start hiring staff again. We brought Duffy on, and Duffy helped us launch the youth ministry and expanded our next gen ministry team under his leadership. Now, during all those moments in our timeline, there were some really amazing Fireplace events. Whether it was our 21 days of prayer and fasting that we participate in every single January, whether it's the Kindle nights that we do both during the fast and throughout the year, small groups, potlucks, church at the park, summer splash, our summer cookouts, our volunteer vision rallies, the youth group's afterburn event, church work days, river days, men's and women's ministry events. We've had some amazing Fireplace events. But it's not just about marks on a timeline. It's not just about events. It's about people too, right? There have been thousands of people who have attended Fireplace Church over these last 10 years. And over these last 10 years, those people have heard the life-changing gospel of Jesus Christ. The believers have been called to a deeper life of devotion and asked to move into that place of simple devotion. Now, those thousands of people who have walked through these doors, they wouldn't have experienced the ministry they've experienced had it not been for innumerable volunteers over these last 10 years. Whether you've served in the back in the sound booth, or you've served in hospitality, or you were served on stage with worship or announcements, or you served downstairs with children's ministry, or the various many other unseen ministry roles. Thank you, volunteers, for making the last 10 years happen. Not only did the volunteers make the last 10 years happen, but we also had quite a few staff members over the last 10 years. Serving alongside me, initially my first staff member was Charity, my wife. Then I hired Spencer, who served as a worship pastor / youth pastor. After Spencer, we had Jessica, who served primarily as a children's ministry coordinator. After Jessica, we hired Duffy, who continued doing children's ministry as well as launched the youth ministry. And then more recently, we've hired Sophia, who is our church administrator / worship leader, and we've hired Reagan, who is doing early child care in the children's ministry department. Not only do we have our Fireplace family right here in Blacksburg, but we also have our worldwide Fireplace Church family, our missionaries. From day one, we began supporting missionaries, and 10 years later, we are doing the same. We've been able to support dozens of missionaries over these last 10 years, whether it was supporting them financially, undergirding them with prayer, being there for them relationally, and supporting them while they're home, even sending some of our local church members to go intern with them and live with them on the mission field. It has been our pleasure to serve alongside them. You know, when I think about all of these mile markers and events and people over the last 10 years, it represents a lot of life change. Whether it is people making first-time salvation decisions, or whether it is young people making rededications, coming back home to Jesus and recommitting their life to Him. That we have celebrated so many water baptisms over the years. We've been able to celebrate baby dedications. We've been able to see people get healed. We've seen so many things happen, like ministerial credentials awarded to ministers. You know, when I think about all of these mile markers, the events, the people, these life change moments, I really do see our 4 core values lived out. You know, 11 years ago, when me and the launch team were sitting around my dining room table praying, and we were discerning what the Lord was saying, and we really boiled down our core values to these 4 things: devotion to Jesus, reaching the lost, empowering the next generation, and creating a real community. You know, when I think about these stories, these names, these faces, these events, Fireplace Church, as your pastor, I am so proud of you. You have lived out the core values of Fireplace Church these last 10 years. And as amazing as these 10 years have been, as incredible, the 10 years that have been absolutely littered with the testimony of God's power working in you, I can't wait to see what the next 10 years hold. In the next 10 years, we will continue to live out the core values of Fireplace Church, being a contemporary, spirit-filled church right here in the New River Valley, planting locations, doing amazing things for the Lord. I can't wait, because you think we've done those 4 core values already? I can't wait to see how we live them out over the course of the next 10 years. Fireplace Church, I am excited and I am very proud of you. God bless you, and happy birthday, Fireplace.